The wedding chapel was small and dingy, the kind of place you go to get married at 3 a.m. when you're drunk. The Elvis impersonator was past his prime and sweating profusely. But none of that mattered to the bride. All she saw was her best friend, his face pale and drawn in the flickering light, and she loved him more than anything in the world. It had been a wild night. They'd started out innocently enough, celebrating the end of their exams with a few drinks at the local bar. But before they knew it, they were dancing on the tables and singing karaoke, and when they'd seen the wedding chapel, they both knew they had to do it. "This is going to be the best story to tell at your wedding," her friend had laughed, adjusting the veil on her head. "You can thank me later." But he hadn't laughed. He'd looked scared. She remembered saying, "Hey, it's okay. It's just a drunken wedding. We can get it annulled tomorrow." His eyes had filled with tears and he'd nodded, but he hadn't looked convinced. As the ceremony went on, she'd tried to focus on the vows, but all she could think about was how scared he was. When they exchanged rings, she'd slipped hers on his finger with shaking hands. She knew it wasn't real, but in that moment, it had felt like the most important thing in the world. The night had ended in a blur, and when she woke up in their hotel room, she couldn't remember anything. She found herself staring at the ceiling, wondering if any of it had really happened. Then she saw the wedding ring on her finger, and her heart skipped a beat. She turned to her side and saw her husband sleeping peacefully, his face illuminated by the faint glow of the bedside lamp. In that moment, she felt a surge of protectiveness. She didn't know why, but she wanted to shield him from everything to make sure he was happy. When he stirred and opened his eyes, she forced a smile. "Good morning, sleepyhead." He blinked at her, confusion etched on his face. What happened?" "You got married?" she said gently. His eyes widened in horror. "Oh, God, did I?" "Did we?" "We?" she confirmed. He groaned and buried his face in his hands. "I'm such an idiot." "Hey," she said, reaching out to touch him. "It's okay. It was just a drunken wedding. We can get it annulled tomorrow." He looked up at her, his eyes filled with gratitude. "Thanks," he whispered. But the next morning, after they'd had breakfast and he'd stopped panicking, she told him she didn't want to get a divorce. His eyes widened. "What?" "I'm sorry," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "But I don't want to get a divorce." He sat there in stunned silence, and she felt tears pricking at her eyes. "It's okay if you want a divorce," she said quickly. "I just thought you should know that I'm not willing to give up on us, whatever us is." He looked at her for a long time, and she couldn't read his expression. Finally, he spoke. "Why? What? Why don't you want a divorce?" She took a deep breath. "Because I love you," she said. "I've loved you for a long time." He looked at her as if he were seeing her for the first time. "Oh," was all he said. For a moment, she thought he was going to reject her, that he didn't feel the same way. But then he did something unexpected. He stood up and walked towards her, his face etched with concern. "Are you sure you're okay?" he asked. "You're not hurt or anything, are you?" "No," she said, her voice cracking. "I'm not hurt. I'm just confused." He cupped her face in his hands, his thumbs stroking her cheeks. "Me too," he admitted. "But I'm glad we got married, I think." She leaned into his touch, feeling the warmth of his body against hers. "Me too," she whispered. And in that moment, they both knew that what they had was real. Over the next few months, they talked a lot. They talked about their feelings and their fears, about their hopes for the future. They learned to rely on each other, to trust each other. One day, he told her, "I'm scared I'll mess things up with you. I'm not good at relationships." She squeezed his hand. "We'll figure it out together," she promised. "We're a team." He smiled and kissed her forehead. "Thanks," he whispered. They faced their challenges with honesty and communication, and their bond grew stronger. One evening, they were watching the sunset when he turned to her, his eyes filled with love. "I never thought I'd find someone like you," he confessed. "You're beautiful, smart, funny." She blushed. "Oh, stop it," she said, but there was a smile on her face. "I'm serious," he continued. "I love you more than anything." Her heart skipped a beat. "I love you too," she whispered. In that moment, they knew they had something special. As time went on, their love deepened. They shared secrets, dreams, and fears with each other. They supported each other through thick and thin. One day, he proposed. He got down on one knee and presented her with a ring. Tears welled up in her eyes. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, 1,000 times yes." Their wedding was small and intimate. Only their closest friends and family attended. As she walked down the aisle towards him, she couldn't help but smile. She was marrying her best friend, the man she loved more than anything in the world. When the ceremony was over and they were alone, he turned to her, his eyes shining with happiness. "I can't believe we're married," he said. "It feels like a dream." "Me too," she whispered, her voice trembling. He pulled her close, and they danced in each other's arms. In that moment, she knew she had made the right decision. Years went by, and their love only grew stronger. They faced challenges, of course, but they always worked through them together. One day, she found herself standing in the kitchen, making dinner. As she chopped vegetables, she thought about how grateful she was to have found her husband. He came into the kitchen and wrapped his arms around her waist. "What are we gonna eat tonight?" he asked. "Just something simple," she replied, smiling. "Well," he said, kissing her neck, "you're simple and I love you." She turned around and looked into his eyes. "I love you too," she whispered. And in that moment, she knew she wouldn't trade her life for anything.